It's exam time. Whether you're the student, parent or teacher, it's a stressful experience to be involved in revision and sitting of important exams. Sue and Jeff Allen are renowned life coaches, and Sue has also been a teacher, so has seen the effects that exams have from all sides. They join us today to impart their thoughts and tips to help us cope under the strain. Welcome, Sue and Jeff.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah.
How do I positively support my child through this emotionally draining time without sounding like a nag?
It's true, it's so easy to sound like a nag because we want them to succeed and have an easy time of it, as such as it can be. So it's true that we can get into that nag bit, and I certainly did when our son David was doing his exams. I found myself worrying all the time about whether he was revising and so on. And actually what helped both of us in the end was a much more honest communication than, hello, have you been sitting, what have you been doing? Have you been watching television and all that? What a much more honest communication involving me saying, I just trust that this you know how best to handle your own revision and what works for you. If I'm here if you want any help at all, but I completely trust you. You're 16 years old, just do your best. Do what seems right for you. And of course it did work, even though it was hard. It will work.
Of course, the other thing that's important is to recognise your own feelings coming up, and that you don't have these negative feelings about the situation and you kind of project them onto your son or daughter. And so part of it, you need to sort of examine, what happened to you when you were a kid doing exams. What was your experience of that? And have you been able to change that in some way or not? Because if you haven't, then you'll just pass on the experience to your children. And most of us don't really want to do that. So on one level, you've got to clean your own act up a little bit and be honest about your own feelings about what's going on and deal with those first before you can really be effective in helping your child.
Good to know. Right, question 2. I'm studying, but nothing is going in. Is there an effective way to study?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things about life. If you do what you love, it's easy. If what you're doing, you don't love it, on one level it becomes torture. And so, of course, many kids feel like, exams are a form of torture. And then, come on, that it's sort of been imposed on them and it's not what they really want to be doing and they don't love it. So much of the parent's job is to encourage the child or to help teach the child to love what they're doing, to love learning, to love knowledge, to love being able to express themselves in better and better ways. And when you can do that, then the child will naturally just, do what they want to do, and it'll be easy and it won't be torture. Because when we're being tortured, none of us learn very well.
Yeah.
We just learn that we're suffering, and none of us like that.
Yeah, and as a teacher, I know that there's umpteen tips out there all over the place in terms of the practicalities of studying. Get enough rest, enough sleep, don't leave it too late. Take it steady, make sure you eat well, all the sort of tips about keeping healthy and as best as possible, not letting the stress get on top of you. That's all out there. But it is true too that if we believe we have failed in the past in tests, or we're worried about measuring up on an exam, then just as it's important for parents to look at their feelings, it's important for us as a student to really, express our worries and find ways to reassure ourselves that it doesn't have to, that this set of exams doesn't have to be like the past ones, that we can, as Jeff said, especially if we change our mind in terms of what we're doing, that it can be a pleasure, that it can be
Can be fun.
it can be fun,
Positive.
it can be positive experience, then that would really help as well.
This is one I can relate to. How can I stop comparing myself to others?
Yeah,
Ah,
that's
yeah.
true. We always worry about
Yeah.
that moment that we're all going to open our envelopes and, you know, find out how we've done in comparison to others. That's a big trap, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting thing, because if you got the best results in the world, would you be happy? And the answer is probably yes. But if you discovered even those best results, everyone else in the exam had actually got better results than you had, then how would you feel? You'd be unhappy. So the truth is, in comparison always lies pain. It's one of those traps of the human mind. And because when you're comparing yourself with someone else, you really think you know what's going on for them. And that's never the truth. You might think, oh, it was easy for them, or that they're not suffering. But you don't know. You just need to go with your own experience and give the best you can, set your goals, set your intentions about what it is that you would like to achieve, and just give it your best shot. But all of us are different. You don't compare. It'll be painful if you do.
Yeah, and the whole experience, of course, is a learning experience in more ways than one. I mean, first of all, of course, we're learning the material that we need to present in order to pass an exam. But the whole experience in terms of the stresses we put on ourselves, our relationships with our friends, our teachers, our parents, or us as parents, the whole thing is a learning experience. And finding out what works and what doesn't work is part of it. And hopefully a school and teachers will be able to help each person individually do their best and know that that's the only important thing. An education system has to rank, give grades in terms of A's and so on. That's how it has to work. But in terms of everybody's personal satisfaction and personal learning, hopefully school, parents, students can work together to make sure that that's a positive learning experience as a whole.
Thank you for that. This is one for the teachers. As a teacher, how do I manage student expectation and self-esteem?
Yes, that's a really tough one. I mean, it's certainly, I know from being a teacher how teachers in general really want every student to have a positive experience and not to do themselves down, not to beat themselves up for not doing well or for not being able to perform, for getting too nervous or whatever it is. So it's very much a human interaction leading up to and during exams to help students with their self-esteem. And hopefully a school will also have systems in place to make sure that it's not just about the facts and figures of the subjects, but also there is some exploration of our own goals and our own self-esteem and our own approach to exams. There is some room for exploring that, because after all, that's so much what's going to be the bedrock of any success or not. So as a teacher, we simply do our best. I know that as a teacher we can put a lot of stress on ourselves every day with our tick list of what we should do and who we should speak to and what we should achieve. But again, as a teacher, it's important to take each step, do the best we can, and manage our own expectations, which will also help the students manage theirs.
Yeah, that's true. Your expectations come from what you feel you should, you must, you have to do, and all those things. And all those things put pressure on you, and they put pressure on the kids, and the teachers' expectations and the kids' expectations both reflect each other's. But all that should and must do is like pushing people. And the trouble is, when you push someone, then they will naturally set up a resistance. At some point they will start pushing back, and then that becomes a big fight between you trying to get them to do something and them pushing back. And so you need to go further than that. You need to get to a place where you really inspire and motivate people rather than push people. So that's just one of those tricks to learn, is inspiring people rather than pushing them. It's good that people set goals and set intentions for what they want, but it's not the end of the world. That's the other thing you've got to get. This is just an exam. It's not defining the rest of your life. I mean, I for one was a terrible student. My exam results were awful, but it didn't define my life. I just went out and still achieved all the things I wanted to achieve. So, just don't draw conclusions about what's going to happen because you pass or fail a particular exam.
Yeah,
it's just a step on the way.
That's true, and it's hard to keep that perspective in the maelstrom of what's going on. And of course, from the perspective of a teenager, you do think it's everything at the time, but it's true in the long view, it's not.
And especially when this next question highlights the fact that I'm so worried that I'm going to fail and I don't want to disappoint my parents. How can I stop feeling like this?
Yeah, no, it's true. It's we all have stories, and we hear them, as you can imagine, as coaches again and again, about feeling that we've disappointed our parents and that they really wanted us to succeed in some different way than we actually did. I mean, that is a life experience that many people have, and I think as parents and children, as families, we can learn to support each other, to communicate better, to generally get through those feelings that as a parent we do put on our children. We want them to do better than we did, and if we felt we failed, we want them to kind of make up for it. There's so many complicated feelings in there that come together, that coalesce around times like this, around exam times like this. So it's a testing time for a family. That's true.
Yeah, and one of the ways of sort of looking at the family dynamics and what's going on is just the recognition that a family is a team, and that you're a group of people trying to do the best that you can, and that you all love and support each other in that experience, and don't get caught in fights or expectations or worrying about things, because all that stuff separates you, has you outside. If you're worried, it's important that you talk about it, but at some point you need to go through it. And once people feel like they're a team and they're being supported and everybody's voting for them, believing in them, then everything becomes easier. You just achieve things much easier. So remember the team. A family is a team, and that team needs to learn how to work together to support each other, and not every now and then someone will be in the high pressure situation, and every other member of the family should then learn to support them, really give to them, and make that experience as pleasurable as possible.
Yeah, because it's true, as a parent we could be starting some new project, as in fact is happening in our family at the moment, and it is a high pressure situation that takes the parent away from the family for long hours at a time. And it's been great to see how they've been talking with the children, who are still young, under 10, 3 of them, about this moment for the family, and how the children can help by just getting on with what they need to do, being at school, being with grandparents or carers or babysitters or whatever it is, and knowing that this time will end, but that we're all in it together. And it's been a great example of that, and no matter how young the children are, that is possible. And of course, a stressful time like exams is another, as I say, testing time for bringing the possibility of bringing the family together, where everybody can support in their own way as best they can, and with the honest communication of what is wanted, how that feels good for everybody. It's amazing. It's amazing what can happen. It really is, when you feel somebody's got your back.
Too true. Final question of the day. How can I make it not feel so overwhelming and not knowing where to start, and consequently leaving it too late?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you go back to the answer to the last question, and it's that thing of just to keep communicating, keep talking, and really resist any desire to sort of separate in any way or to distance yourself from anybody who's struggling or got strong expectations, and just that recognition, work together, come together. It's just, you will achieve so much more.
Yes, I think when we feel overwhelmed, we can have different responses, of course, but one of them could be that we just put it on one side. I can't think about that right now, I've got too much else to do. And then, of course, we do have that experience of leaving it too late because we haven't been able to face up to how overwhelming it feels. And it really comes back to that emotional maturity, I guess, to and time and space in the family situation or the teaching situation to be able to be, dig down and go, this is how it really feels. It feels overwhelming. Because once we can be honest about how things feel for us, it's amazing how the feeling eases. We've communicated it. It's not all bottled up inside us. It's shared. And that makes such a difference in terms of then, okay, everybody knows the situation, everybody then can find different solutions instead of us trying to push it down the line as if it is not really there, or ignore it or deny it. That doesn't work.
That's true, and with the overwhelm, at some point you do need to face it, because if you really face your overwhelm instead of running away from it, you'll go through a process, and when you come out the other side, you'll be more mature, you'll have more resources. And that is one of those challenges in life that all of us will have to meet on a fairly regular basis as you go through life. If you're really growing and learning, you just need to face these places of overwhelm. And if you come out the other side, you will become more effective and more efficient at what you're doing, and you'll use your time better and better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because it might be, who knows what comes out of that. You might end up studying with your best friend or with a group of people. You might end up finding out that there's support systems at school that you hadn't even known existed. You might find out, that there's all kinds of ways to help with the overwhelm on a day-to-day basis that brings people together and with much more support, and it feels much better. So whatever's going on for you at the moment, whatever exams you're sitting, if this is relevant to you, we really wish you all the best.
Yeah.
And we're a port of call if anybody needs more talking about it.
Great. Yeah, good luck.
Thank you so much, Jeff and Sue.
Thank you.
Thank you.